this Paris workshop, we're also doing a scene from Face to Face by Ingmar Bergman, which is a film script. They're doing it in French, so it's face à face, but it's a scene between Jenny, who's the lead character, who's a psychiatrist in Sweden, and her patient, Maria, who's a brilliant young woman, but a bit schizophrenic. And it turns out in the scene, Maria seems to be a better psychologist than Jenny, because Jenny has some very deep problems. So in this scene, Face to Face, the idea of an actor making choices or decisions rather than discoveries can destroy the scene. Because what you discover in this scene is that there's a lot of things going on between these two women that you wouldn't know just from reading the script even 5 times. You have to experience it. You have to discover it as the actors exchange moment to moment to moment. It is in no way an intellectual exercise. It is an experiential exercise. And that implies discovery. Decisions and choices imply intellect. You see the difference? Science depends on that intellect. Art depends on experience, discovery during experience. It's not that we don't use our intellect as actors, we do, but it's more for background, for research, for context. So for instance, we can deduce with our intellect that Jenny is a transactional style psychologist or psychiatrist rather than a Freudian. I'm not going to go into why because it's a long explanation, but if you're transactional, that means that you are, as the psychiatrist, you are affected emotionally by the interaction with the patient, whereas a Freudian will usually keep themselves very separate emotionally. They'll be distanced from the patient in that way. And because of that, the interactions between Jenny and Maria become extraordinarily experiential. And what happens in the next action or line depends entirely on what transpired between the two the moment before, not on some intellectual idea of what the next line means or the action that should go with it. So you may find yourself doing something really quite surprising and unexpected in this scene if you keep making discoveries. And that includes just on the temperature of the air around you, where one line is very critical about them talking about a storm coming and it being muggy in the air. And because most people who approach it intellectually just think it's a timeout and it's small talk. It's not. It's absolutely not. If you really play the scene, something happens and the lines about the weather become extraordinarily important. Then you discover the line afterwards where Maria basically busts Jenny on her professional manner, which is excluding really listening to her, really listening to Maria, comes right out of that. So it's one thing after another, leading to another that you can only find through the experience of doing the scene. It's not an intellectual thing. It's an experiential thing. Therefore, it's an artistic thing. That's the basic difference between an intellectual and an artist. It's discovery rather than choice or decision.